Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm making a tier list of all of the top decks in the standard format right now. This is actually, today I'm not using my own tier list template. I'm actually using one created here. It's by Albert, so shoutouts to you. But this is a, template here. I actually added F tier to didn't have F tier, which isn't there by default for most tier lists, but I think there might be an F tier deck. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's probably something in D tier, maybe not something in C tier, or maybe it might be focused in like B and C. We'll see. But regardless, this is a tier list. Obviously, well, the placements matter, which they do. Also, like the stuff I say about it matters. Sometimes people just like skip to the end of tier list videos, which if they've done, then they probably already did that, so it doesn't really matter. But if you made it this far, like less than a minute into the video, make sure you subscribe, I suppose. But regardless, I'm really excited to dive into this. I've been playing with a bunch of the new decks from Pitch Black. I think Pitch Black has made some interesting meta changes, mostly with the new decks. To be honest, I haven't played too many older decks, or even on the ladder seen that many older decks. Most people are playing the newer decks, which is pretty exciting, though we certainly have seen some decks, and I have some interesting thoughts on the metagame. One thing that's not as interesting of a thought is the Dragapult S tier, though. I will say I think Dragapult is slightly actually now overrated. I mean, it's very good, and it is the best deck in the game, but it's very good. It's very good. I think people act like it's just like super broken, and I think one thing, which it is very good. I don't know if I'd quite say broken, but I could see that argument. But also, I think people kind of blame the fact that single prize decks are, especially some of the people's like favorite like rogue single prize decks aren't super good on Dragapult, but usually those decks just aren't that good. I think Dragapult's maybe reaching that point, but regardless, Dragapult is certainly very good. There's different builds of it, but they are all good for the most part, I suppose, unless you do something super wacky and out there with Dragapult. But regardless, it is certainly very good, and I'm not going to dive into Dragapult today. There's enough discussion on that. That being said, I think there's a clear number 2 deck, and I think that deck is Ends, and I think Ends is A tier. I think Ends is like, super solid deck. Obviously, Dragapult EX paired with Dracloak, the stage 1 there is a stage 1 that draws you. It draws you, well, you look at 2 cards every turn, it increases your hand size by 1 there, and it's a stage 1, which is the same thing you can say about Enzoric EX as a draw engine. It's also tied to your attacker there. So Dragapult EX plus Dracloak is actually very similar to Enzoric EX. Also, both Pokemon can do big active damage. They can also do some bench damage. So they're really good in similar ways. They are also 2 energy, but you can accelerate to them. They're certainly not the same. Specifically, I'd say Enzoric EX kind of has to be built in a certain way, or like a relatively specific way, because you need to be playing the other Ends Pokemon there. But it's still very good. And a deck that is, I mean, it's very strong with the being able to hit their bench. That can be really nice. And also, people are running a good chunk of Battle Cage. People are running some Shaman. I guess Shaman is all right. If I can't like say Shaman's bad, if I say that a deck that gets kind of countered some by Shaman is good. But regardless, Shaman is something you'll not see all that often. I mean, you'll see some, and also you can sneak, or I don't know how sneaky it is. We can get Darmanitan as Darmanitan into play pretty quickly using Transformation Tome, which is actually a really nice addition to the deck. So overall, it feels super good there. Also, you can do big damage. You can take one shots on stuff. And I mean, the issue of the deck, it's a little clunky, but I mean, Dragapult is very good, and it's not the fastest deck, though it's very consistent. Ends is, I'd say, a little less consistent. I do want to say, regarding consistency, I may make a full video on this, or make a video where this is like a piece of it, but if you're struggling with consistency, play more supporters that like set you up, specifically like draw supporters. Obviously, Lily's the best one by a substantial margin, but play other regular draw supporters. You can look at something like Gwen. Also, I'm a big fan of Explorer's Guidance. You could play also some of the like Pokemon search supporters are all right. Something like Petrol will not necessarily get you there. I guess we'll get to that when we talk about like Mega Extrial and stuff like that. Not that it's bad, but there's definitely some limitations there. But regardless, Enzoric EX is pretty nice, but you do need the Enzoric EXs in play to really get going. And then you can struggle with energy some as well, but SPV Up is a very good card as well. So overall, just a good deck, and yeah, I mean, it's just very good. Honestly, I almost want to say it's in the same tier as Dragapult. I can't say that. I can't say that. It's good. It's not quite that good, but I think the gap is there's a tier gap. There used to be multi-tier gaps. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'd put in A tier. And I think, okay, I actually didn't look at this tier list that much beforehand. I'm not sure what all these decks are. I'll put Lilies in A tier, I guess. I think this is like basic box. I don't know. I'm not sure what Mega Absol is. Okay, I'm going to add another tier here, which is just a deck that is grouped in with another deck. I'm going to be grouping in certainly, I guess, Absol with Lilies. I don't know. It's like basic box. I'm just going to say basic box because this is how I tend to do things. I'll toss in Raging Bolt there as well. I mean, there are definite differences. This could be like the Lilies deck, which is just mostly attack with Lilies Clefairy EX. It did recently win a major tournament, so it's definitely getting a lot of talk. But I think, if a deck wins a big tournament, especially by a YouTuber or like a popular player, then I think the deck tends to get a bit overrated at that point. Not that it's bad, it is good, but I think it actually, there's a big like area of decks that are these basic box decks, There we go, that are good, and there's a bit of a spectrum there. So I think choosing to divide it up there doesn't make a ton of sense necessarily when the lines get pretty blurred there. But regardless, Lilies or basic box or like slot box or Raging Bolt or whatever, these, again, there are differences, but there are a lot of similarities there as well. This deck is very good because it can hit the different things for weakness, and it has just lots of different options. Overall, it's very versatile, pretty strong, and just a good deck. It's not quite as versatile. Well, I was gonna say you can't do spread stuff, but you have the Water Ogre Pawn if you want that. So overall, it's pretty good. I'm definitely higher on ends than basic box. For a while, I was higher on basic box, but they're both very good decks in my opinion. There. Then I just realized we have Blaziken. I think Blaziken, this is probably Dragapult. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to put this in NA. If it's not Dragapult and it's just Blaziken, then it's not very good. But also, I assume it's not that. I assume it's Dragapult, Blaziken, which I'm just like with the basic box deck, I'm going to group it in there. And Dusknoir, same thing. Dusknoir, I think. Actually, wait, what is Dusknoir? If someone knows, I mean, okay, so this could be two things. It could be, obviously, it could be a Dragapult Dusknoir, which would go in NA, or it could be like base, or not base, but like psychic. It could be the decks that run like Jellicent or Mega Dancy or a combination there, which I would say is not very good. You're susceptible to Psyduck. That's really bad. The deck's like not that good. I'm just gonna put it in. Honestly, okay, I don't really play this deck, and I don't see it that much, which probably isn't a good sign, right? Like if people aren't really playing it too much, it's kind of all or nothing. So I'll put in D tier. I want to put some decks in lower tiers as well, and definitely think it is one of the weaker decks. So if that deck is or this Pokemon is supposed to represent the psychic, like telepathic, mysterious, or Mystery Garden, whatever that stadium is called, if it's supposed to represent that deck, then yeah, I'm gonna put it in D tier. There, it is like kind of playable. D tier implies it's like super super terrible. There obviously are worse decks in the game, but it's not. I mean, it's inconsistent, and kind of linear and kind of counterable. Then we have, let's see, any other decks that like super overlap? I don't think so. I mean, this is Terra Box, I guess. I'm trying to think if that like overlaps with stuff there. Let's talk some other decks though. We'll talk the fighting stuff now. I think Mega Lucario is it so? I think Mega Lucario and Cynthia's are pretty close. Are they B tier or are they C tier? Is my thought. I definitely think it's close. I'm not super impressed by either of them. Though they're not bad. I mean, you can definitely do some decent stuff. I think the gaps just get pretty big near the top. Obviously, Dragapult is very good. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to put in B tier. Actually, I know what I'm going to put in B tier. So I'll put these in C tier. They are, you can do big damage, but they're kind of linear. I've said this a lot about Mega Lucario. It applies to other, to Cynthia's there as well. It's almost, quote, too fair. It's pretty good, but it's not like doing anything that's like really going after the bench, or I mean, you get extra Gust and Mega Lucario, you get some cool support stuff in Cynthia's and you're efficient and stuff, but it just doesn't stand out as amazing to me there. So I'm gonna drop it into C tier. And C tier isn't terrible. C tier is like playable, but not crazy there. Then we see, let's talk Mega Extra honestly. Mega Extra is an interesting deck to talk about. So I mentioned Petrol, and I kind of said, it's not. Well, pretty much, the idea with the with Mega Petrol, or sorry, with Petrol and Mega Extra Drill, there we go, is that you want to turn one go second, and you want to just get your trolley and get your bench set up. It feels like sometimes, which is true, it can get prized, which is really bad. You kind of it's pretty bad if it's prized, but that's not super likely. This isn't necessarily like a tournament setting tier list where you're looking at best of 3 gameplay. Or where certain tournaments are best of 3. I've seen like ladder and whatever, you can just like go to the next game as well. But Mega Extra Drill it's consistent, which being consistent and relatively easy to play is good. It's a solid deck. It doesn't necessarily hit the numbers on literally everything, and if it doesn't, then you're kind of just sitting there saying like, what do I do here? But it's still good. I mean, the damage is good. It gets set up quickly. It was something that I was like a little worried about how much would get set up. I will say after like the beginning of the game, Petrol turns into I don't know if a do nothing card, but you're using like Petrol for boss, which is pretty slow. So that's why Petrol won't make your decks feel amazing as a regular supporter there, but it's not a bad card either. I did want to mention that, but the deck is, I mean, it's good turn 1, and I guess it's good or sorry, not turn, like I guess it's good turn 1 in setting up. It's good turn 2 with doing like big damage, and even turn 3 I say it's pretty solid. As the game kind of goes on, it becomes less impressive is what I'd say. Your engine cards turn into do nothing cards because you have all the energies in Pokemon Union play, and then you have the cards in your hand just aren't really changing, with Petrol not doing too much there. It's not doing nothing, but it's not doing all that much. And the cards you're drawing are Pokemon your energies, and your trainers, which aren't like so amazing. You're looking for like boss and stuff, but really your deck's just not doing too much in the later points of the game. So it's really hard to say that it's like really, really amazing there. In terms of the tier I'd put in, I think I'd put it in C tier. In some ways, it actually kind of reminds me of the the Fighting X Mega Lucario and Garchomp there. Obviously, you can do more damage, I'd say easier, which is good, but at the same time, you're a bit less versatile as the game goes on. So it is a trade-off. I would put my Extra Drill above those decks, though. The other big new deck from the set is Hide and Sneak. Hide and Sneak's interesting. I think people are hating on it a bit much because I've heard some people say it's like not very good at all, which I don't think is true. I don't think it's like terrible. You're efficient. It's not great. It's kind of in the mold of a traditional single prize deck, like a good traditional single prize deck where you have limited upside, which is obviously just not good. You want to be able to do good stuff with your deck, and the deck doesn't do that much that's all that impressive. So for that reason, it can't be super high. I do think it is in C tier in my opinion. I think there's maybe like a half a tier gap between it and Mega Extra, maybe even more. I mean, Mega Extra is close to the tier above it. Hide and Sneak's close to the tier below it, but like you can attack turn going second if you build it to attack turn going second. I've seen so many people build it to not like they're like kind of half in to the attack turn going second, and that's like the best thing you do. So if you're playing it like that, I think it's bad, but I don't think you should play it like that, right? So it's pretty solid, and use this Sinistcha, that's kind of good. Probably don't lean into the Bayonet too much. Play more supporters, all that good stuff, and it's okay. It's not amazingly impressive. I don't necessarily expect it to, for example, at the World Championships perform super well, but it's fine. Then another fun single prize deck is Festival Lead with one major new card with the Gladians. What's the card called? I always blank on the name. Gladion's Final Battle. There we go. You do a bunch more damage. That's obviously like doubled essentially with the Festival Lead attacker there, with the Diplin or whatever. It's pretty solid. Honestly, I think it is B tier. I mean, single price decks are not bad right now. I mean, Dragapult's obviously very good, but not Hide Sneak. Festival Lead is good. It is vulnerable to like spread stuff. You got like Rabska. Rabska's it's it's not super reliable. And you can also use like Shaman. You also, I mean, yes, you want Pokemon on your bench, but you are looking for certain specific Pokemon who can kind of struggle with bench space. I mean, Graps is just not that good of a Pokemon. It's the only option you really have because you can't use Battle Cage because of Festival Grounds or like or the other stadium that I'm blanking on the name of the mine, nighttime mine. There we go. Because that card is a stadium as well, right? You just can't use these counters to Dragapult, which is just kind of unfortunate for the deck. So that's bad, right? You can't really do too much about Dragapult. You can go for one shots on it, but they can also like really mess with your board. So overall, I'd say that it can struggle. It can struggle against like if you're looking at like Darmanitan and Sarmanitan or something, then you're a bit more okay because you can use Shaman there. But overall, it's not bad, but it can struggle at points. Similar thing with Alakazam, to be honest. I think Festival Lead's a bit more. I described it as dynamic. You can take like multiple prizes in one turn, which is really, or sorry, you can take multiple prizes against a single prize in one turn, which is really nice. Alakazam is not bad. It's capable of using the Dunsparce pretty well. It's really the only deck in the game, in my opinion, that's capable of using the Dunsparce well. The Dunsparce is pretty overrated, but it is pretty good in the deck. So, you know, Alakazam can do big damage. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's like some counters. I think some people act like the counters to Dunsparce are crazy, or sorry, to Alakazam are crazy. There, funnily enough, is a counter to Dunsparce with the Stadium Team Rocket's Watchtower, which is a bit of a pain. I mean, there are all these like counters to stuff in the deck, but it's definitely not something that you're sitting here looking at like I can't do anything about. And it's something like even like Judge as well is like just somewhat, it's like annoying for you. You can deal with it. Even like Zero-6, you can kind of deal with it. It's kind of rough. But also Zero-6, the deal with Zero-6, but the deck's solid. Long story short, there's similar stuff to Festival Lead there. Then we got Team Rocket's Conscript. Say similar things about it to Alakazam, but it's not that impressive. It's less. The engine's kind of clunky. You're relying on these supporters, which are pretty good. But outside of that, your deck's not really doing too much. It's more vulnerable to, I was gonna say more vulnerable to disruption. It's more vulnerable to just like not drawing what it needs, to be honest. So I'm gonna put it, unfortunately, in D tier. It's pretty rough. It can be good. It can be good, but it can like really do a whole lot of nothing as well. Then we got Marnie's. Marnie's is fine. I'm gonna put it in C tier here, I guess. It's a deck I really don't have too much to say about, to be honest. It's like fine. It's been fine for a while. You can do some spread stuff. You can get countered. You are kind of a worse Dragapult in some ways, but you're relatively consistent. You can use Monkey Jewelry relatively well. I mean, it's just a decent deck, but it's not a crazy deck that stands out that much, in my opinion. Then we have Slowking. Slowking is just a crazy deck here. It's super fun. It's not great. I'm not, well, it's great when it sets up. I think some people, people tend to remember the decks that are, or the games where a deck like pops off and they kind of think of the deck in that regard. And when Slowking pops off, it's like the best deck in the game. It's not very close. Maybe it's kind of close. You can see some other crazy moments from decks popping off, but like it's crazy when it pops off, right? But obviously it's not popping off all the time. It's kind of weird, honestly. That's kind of how the whole deck is. And the games are. You like pop off for a turn, and then you like do nothing for a turn or two, and then you like alternate, and it's pretty weird. Again, if you're popping off every turn, the deck's broken, but that's not the case. So yeah, you can do pretty much, you can do crazy damage, you can do crazy spread, right? Which there's some counterplay into those things, but there's the biggest thing is you're just not going to get there, which is kind of sketchy. And it's kind of like Alakazam and kind of like Festival Lead, where you can just not set up, but it's worse. It's much more exaggerated. The highs are higher and the lows are lower with Slowking, which is, I would say, definitely a bad thing. I know some people love this deck and it's crazy at times, but again, it can do nothing as well. Speaking of decks that do nothing, I guess we'll talk about the stall decks here. We got Sylveon. I don't have much to say about Sylveon, to be honest. I think I played it like once or twice, and then Crustle as well. I played Crustle a bit more, and I don't think I've literally ever played against Sylveon either. I mean, Sylveon's just like Crustle, except I guess worse, probably, maybe. I don't know. Again, I really have like nothing to say about Sylveon. Just tell me in the comment section if there's something that I like don't know that I'm missing about Sylveon that makes it particularly unique to Crustle. Obviously, there are different ways you can kind of build it. Sylveon's played less. It's played in a more like rogue style deck is kind of how I describe it. But in terms of a Pokemon, they're very similar. But regardless, Crustle is okay. I'm going to put it in B tier. It is. I mean, obviously, you see it next to these single prize decks. It's pretty bad, but against those decks, but against multi-prize decks, it can really just destroy them. A lot of them don't really have that much counterplay. Something like Dragapult has some counterplay. You look at stuff like the Dust Weather can do some stuff, but I mean, really the stuff that the decks are doing is counterplay. If it's not a deck that has particularly strong counterplay, where it's essentially an auto win against Crustle, then it's going to be a really difficult matchup almost all the time. So Crustle, honestly, I just don't think it's a very fun deck. It's pretty much all auto wins or auto losses, but it is pretty good with a bunch of essentially auto wins. Sylveon, okay, I guess I should like look at some lists. Most of these decks I'm relatively confident on, but Sylveon I'm not that confident on, as in case you can't tell here. As I was literally just saying, yeah, okay, so this is the list, the main one I've seen, which is just like weird toolboxy. I don't even know if toolboxy, but like kind of control-y list with some stall elements and stuff. We can look here. Okay, yeah, this is like definitely what on earth. Sylveon, low case. This card, oh, is instant. What is this card? I've not played with this card. That's a funny card, I suppose. This deck is not standard at all either, but I'm kind of lost in the sauce here, I suppose. But ultimately, Sylveon is, kind of not very impressive. I'm going to put in D tier. Realistically, it's probably a lot closer to Crustle, but like in terms of plays and stuff, I think putting it low is perfectly fine there. And reason to play it, there's not too much reason to play it. There was some like really wacky stuff you can do there, but the wacky stuff isn't very good. If you play it safe, it's similar to Crustle. Then we got another deck that's kind of similar-ish. I don't know if similar is quite the right word, but we got Mega, or not Mega, we got Wailord EX. Okay, I'm going to unpin these because never mind, it doesn't matter. But Wailord EX here, it's very big. It's bad, I'm not going to lie. This deck's like not good. You don't like do anything. The deck's really bad. I guess I'll put it in... I think Wailord EX is like super bad. I think it's definitely the worst deck in this list by a substantial margin. Wait, sorry, what is the Dunsparce EX? I just realized, what is this deck? Give me one. Is the Dunsparce EX, is that a Dragapult variant? I think that's what it's talking about. I think that's what Dunsparce EX is. Okay, well, that's going in this tier. But if it's straight to Dunsparce EX, that'd be worse than Wailord EX. I guess probably Blaziken EX straight would be worse as well. But Wailord EX here is big. And that's it. I made a video on it, and I said I think my title was Wailord EX is big, and it doesn't really do anything else. And people didn't really watch that video too much. I don't think. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think they watched it too much. And that's probably fair. Not much happened in those games. I make a lot of cool videos, but that's one where the deck just isn't very interesting. It's a deck people wanted me to see a little. See me play, but overall, Wailord is pretty bad. It doesn't do anything. I mean, it does something when you have 5 energy, and what it does is mediocre. In some ways, it's like Mega X Drill, but it's like it's not very good. Mega X Drill is consistent, right? And Wailord is not as consistent and slower and weaker. It is a 2-prizer and actually does have more HP, but it is definitely a much worse card there. Speaking of bad water, I was going to say Megas, but bad water evolutions, we got 2 bad water Megas. I mean, Mega Starmie is okay, I guess, but I wouldn't really play it. I'm going to put it in D tier here. I do think it is worse than Hide and Sneak. I think Hide and Sneak is a bit underexplored. Actually, is it worse than Hide and Sneak? No, I'll put it above Hide and Sneak. Neither one. I'd say they're both like mediocre decks that are relatively new. They're not terrible. They have legitimate stuff going on for them, or they're came out this year. Mega Starmie isn't like that new, but let's be honest, there haven't been that many decks that are new to this year that are decent. Mega Starmie is, I guess, the best of them. Unless I'm forgetting, we got Mega X Drill as well, which is, I guess, better. But ultimately, Mega Starmie, what it does is, I've said this about a few decks, it's kind of a bad Dragapult. You do less damage, you give more prizes, you have less of an engine. I think the less of an engine thing is the biggest deal there. Ultimately, you're able to attack for 1 energy, which is nice. You can apply pressure pretty nicely, turn 2 there. So that is good, but unless you like kind of really need to win off of that, to be honest. And you can. That does happen sometimes, but it's not something super reliable. And if your opponent just like kind of takes the time and sets up a little, then you're going to get to a point where you can't do too much compared to what they're doing. So you need to rely on that early lead to carry you, and that's just kind of mediocre. Then the other Mega here is Mega Ninja. This one's honestly pretty bad as well, unfortunately. I will put it in D tier. I'll put it, I guess, just bottom of D tier. I mean, it's expensive. The payoff isn't very good. So it's just not that good. I mean, when I say expensive, I mean it's 2 energies on the stage 2, and then you like need another energy to discard, and it is stage 2 mega as well, right? So it's not a very impressive attacker. Its ability is mediocre, and if you want to spam the ability, then you need to like use switching and then use like all this energy and stuff. So it's pretty clunky. Is it terrible? I mean, it's not very good, right? It's just not very good there. Then we have Mega Lopunny. I don't really have, okay, honestly, I don't have too much to say about most of the rest of these decks here. Mega Nectech is probably pretty bad. Have I played it? And you got some new stuff from the new set as well, which is like cool, but it's not that good. Probably D tier as well. Again, not too much to say there. We have Mega Lopunny. I haven't really seen Mega Lopunny too much recently. Okay, I didn't mention this in Mega Storm. You have like the healing stuff as well. Mega Lopunny also has it. I think Mega Lopunny does the healing stuff a little better, but does like less aggressive stuff. They're kind of similar-ish. This deck, I guess, also uses the Dunsparce. Yeah, at a decent level. The Dunsparce isn't crazy good in the deck, though. It's pretty mediocre. We have Hydrapple here. Hydrapple is honestly decent. It's going to come in C tier here. Definitely in this range of decks, like the upper C tier here, I think. I mean, I think Hydrapple is probably stuff it does. It's a little slow, and it's not super amazingly special, so I'm just going to put it like kind of middle low C tier here. It's not like terrible, it's fine, but it's kind of whatever. Julie X is kind of similar, but it's a little unspectacular, so I'll put it in D tier. Again, it's not like a terrible deck. In a normal tier list, I'd probably move. I'd probably condense A and B into B tier, and then C and D into C tier, but that's like not interesting because all the decks are in just 2 tiers. And also, I think this slightly better showcases the metagame there. Then we have Terrabox. I'm not going to rank Terrabox, I don't think. I think the overlap is just too much with these other decks, including Toucannon, the next deck, so I'm not going to rank that one. You have Toucannon, which is okay. Toucannon is, I think, overrated right now. I mean, Toucannon is just not a super good Pokemon. It's not terrible. I think it was underrated at first, and now it's like switched to being overrated, but it's okay. You do like, I mean, if you're not familiar with the stats on it, which I imagine most people are, I mean, it's one of the few Pokemon I'm showing the stats on. You have to draw, you have to do some damage there. The damage is pretty decent. Like, the draw is okay. Well, I mean, it's nice to have the draw, but it's not that good. It's pretty, honestly, as an engine, it's terrible. As an ability, you'll take it. Is kind of what I'd say there. I mean, if you play like Chandelure, like with Mega Chandelure, you know that that's not that good. It shines in the deck because the deck's terrible. But Toucannon is definitely okay. Mega Chandelure can do some stuff. It's a control deck, but it's pretty bad. But Toucannon can, you can draw, you can do some pretty solid damage, right? You're a pretty solid attacker for a single prizer. It's definitely, I'd say, worse than Alakazam, but it slots better into other decks. It's, as a deck, it's so weird as well because there's so many different builds. Some are super different from each other. Some are super similar to each other. So it's really hard to just like talk about this as a deck here. But I'm gonna put it in C tier. I guess I'll put it right above Hide and Sneak. Or I don't know. I mean, you can have like crazy versatility. It's super hard to talk about as a deck, but it's not terrible. It can be nice, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see it turning into a deck that's more clearly defined and pretty good, but right now it's not at that point. Then we got Ethan's. I think Ethan's is pretty bad. I can't really think of the last time I've seen someone play it. In some ways, it's kind of similar to Toucannon and Alakazam, but doesn't really have much special to it. I'll put it kind of D tier here somewhere. Ceruledge, I think, is okay. It's honestly a deck I haven't played in a while and haven't played against, but it's okay. It's definitely a little underrated. It's not amazing, though. I mean, you can do big damage. I think it's pretty solid at what it does. Its engine's kind of sketchy, though. I'm honestly going to put it at the bottom of C tier. I think it's, again, a little underrated, not amazing, but definitely not terrible. We got Team Rockets. Team Rockets is, I haven't, this is a deck that I know there are some people who are huge fans of that really like it. And I'm not glad I haven't played this deck too much. I mean, I played it some, but I mean, what you do with the deck is the attacks are mediocre. The supporters are nice, but you're using this like supporter engine, which is solid, but it's not necessarily doing. I guess the supporters are really good, but like the Pokemon are not very good, and having bad Pokemon is just kind of unfortunate there. I'll put it in C tier. I'll put it above Ceruledge. I'll put it above Heiden's. I'll actually put it in the middle of C tier here, I guess. And then we have Hops. Hops isn't going to end up in F tier. I'm not sure where it will end up here. I mean, it's pretty bad, though. I occasionally hear people talk about this deck. I mean, it doesn't really do too much, I'm not going to lie. Are there worse stacks? Yes, but it's pretty much just not a very impressive single price deck, I'm not going to lie. All the stuff you're doing is very mediocre. I mean, we saw Hopslash in the X for a while just being played for its first attack there, and as you're doing some of that similar stuff in this deck, and the first attack just doesn't do that much. It does something. It's not literally useless, but it's. I mean, it is cheap / free, which is good. But ultimately, you should be doing something with the deck. The deck, as the game goes on, doesn't really do too much. It's kind of this efficient single prize deck in some ways similar to Hide and Sneak, with some more versatility there, I guess. But I'd say it's a worse Hide and Sneak, and Hide and Sneak isn't all that impressive. Overall, it's my tier list rankings, though. Obviously, so one, there's like some of the weird stuff in the NA tier, but like don't worry about that. I obviously went over that stuff there. And then I think the metagame is at a better place than it's been in a little while, where we do see some decks pretty close to Dragapult. I think Dragapult is still the best deck, but I mean, honestly, Ends is super, super good there. You even see Ends in like an A+ tier there. Pretty close to Dragapult. It's pretty cool there. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section. And I hope you all enjoyed. Again, make sure you like and subscribe. And I'm wondering if I'll get like comments where people are just like talking about the video and like didn't watch the video, which I sometimes see, but we'll see. But I hope you all enjoyed. Huge shouts to my YouTube members as well for supporting the channel. It really means a ton. But I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.